Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 188. And today, I am going to be reviewing Dumbo, the 2019 remake of the original 1941 animated classic. So, what did I think of the live-action Dumbo? Oh my god, it was amazing. Honestly, I think it was better than the original, for sure. They really changed the game. I mean, a lot of the live-action Disney remakes that we've gotten in the past have been more or less carbon copies with a little bit of added backstory and some changes, but like, this one, I mean, I know critics have different opinion. I think the reception for the critics was that it lacked heart. It's like, I don't really know what that means, but okay, I mean, I don't really agree. But also, you don't have to always trust critics. But at the same time, this one was really surprisingly fun, honestly. I mean, I know, like, a lot of people, like for example, Brian Hull, he said that he was really worried about it because it's his favorite Disney film. And that since Tim Burton was directing it, it would not work out well. Like, it would just not be the same as the original. And it's not. It's not at all. Especially since Danny Elfman composed it. He also has worked with Tim Burton in a lot of his films. I mean, a lot of his films have been Danny Elfman composing the score, which is fantastic because it's just so recognizable, his score. Like, the way he does his music, and then he did Spider-Man, he did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, he does all kinds of stuff. I think he even did Alice in Wonderland, maybe? I can't remember exactly, but yeah, like, it's truly awe-inspiring what they pulled off, especially with this being a remake after 78 years, because the original film came out in 1941, which means that 78 years later we finally got the remake, and it's just like, it's incredible what they were able to pull off. I mean, for starters, the Disney intro. I mean, it's the same CGI intro we've always had, but like the classic "Will You Wish Upon a Star" theme is just gone. It's replaced by an original piece by Danny Elfman, because he composed the score for this movie, because obviously he works closely with Tim Burton in a lot of his films. They kind of collaborate a lot, and that was like big. Like they also kind of like had some train sounds in the background, kind of I guess Casey Jr. So like, it really surprised me a lot of the Disney films, they changed the intro like a little bit. I know that Aladdin had a different one, and I know that Nutcracker had one, which is fantastic, honestly. Like, it's just the way they change these remakes is so special, because you can't just do a carbon copy. Because I know Lion King had a thing where they just did a carbon copy, and I mean, yeah, they added some stuff. They didn't have everything, but it was basically the same story. And I mean, yeah, sure, it's beautiful, just like the original, but it doesn't bring the same amount of joy as the original did. And that's why, with this one, they reinvented the original film, because the original film was so short and so messed up and just everything like that. Which is why in this episode, I will mainly be talking about the changes they made to the live-action Dumbo compared to the original, and also the things they added to it, because there was a lot that added to it. So, like, for example, Casey Jr. I mean, obviously, that train is in there. I mean, it's a remake. They have most of the original stuff in the remake that the original had. No singing. There's no singing at all. Like, nothing. There's music, but there's no singing. So, yeah. So Casey Jr. does make an appearance, obviously. And what's interesting is that the scenes that were shown in the original film, like the elephants stacking up onto each other and all that stuff, that's shown in like transition scenes. Like, all these scenes where Casey Jr. the train is, traveling between different parts of the world. You have these scenes of transition, and you kind of show different things from those scenes, different like acts and stuff. And a lot of those actually are from the original film, like when the elephants went crazy, all that stuff. That's kind of the idea of it, which is, it's really interesting actually. And with that, the Casey Jr. song, like that song, it's not sung, but it's like orchestrated. Like, it's like a remix version, like a new remix version of that same song is done with new modern instruments, which is incredible. It's the same song, they don't have singing, obviously, it's all instrumental, but it's really amazing. And because this is a remake, they didn't just do a carbon copy. I mean, it is the same story, but I think with a lot of these remakes, they like to expand upon the original story. And with Dumbo, unlike the other films that they have remade in the past, like Cinderella, Jungle Book, Beauty and Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, which were merely the same story. They just kind of added a few things and changed a few things here and there. But Dumbo is the one live action remake. They changed so much of it. Like the original film was so short. It was like, I think it was just over an hour, including the pink elephant scene, which is terrifying. And it's also like one of Walt Disney's shortest animated feature film ever. Like it's like the only film out of the entire vault that was the shortest of all of them. It was just over an hour. I think it was like an hour and 4 minutes. It was incredibly short, and they added to it a lot. They fixed some of the problems that the original had, like the pink elephant scene. I'll get to that later. But that's one of the things they changed. But with this one, the idea is that World War One has just ended. It's 1919, so it's like the end of the decade, and they have this family, including a widowed father who has lost an arm in the war because he came back from the war. And he has this family, including a daughter and a son. That's all he has left. And they're the ones who take care of Dumbo. In the original film, it's Timothy Q. Mouse who takes care of Dumbo. Like he's the one who like helps him out because his mother isn't always going to be there for him. But the small family is the one who actually takes care of him and actually realizes that he's actually a special elephant. He can fly with his ears, his very abnormally large ears. Which is incredible because that was not part of the original film at all. Like the original film, they had a very, very minimal plot. Like there weren't a lot of characters in it. But this one really changes the game. They actually add human characters, more personality to these characters. In the original film, there was human characters, but they weren't really anything special. They're like this background characters or the performers, and that's basically all they had. So nothing really special. But they added to the story. Or the circus, the Medici brothers, who are literally consisting of Max Medici, who just put on a different costume and mustache to make him look different. They're a small-time circus. They're semi-successful, and obviously a disaster happens, much like the original film, where disaster happens in that same story, and that's why they have problems. And so then, a successful theme park businessman, played by Michael Keaton, he brings it to Dreamland, which is this theme park, which is very much inspired by Disneyland. Really, if you think about it, it has a lot of inspiration for that. So that's basically what they explain about the story. They bring everything this new theme park, which is honestly not what they had in the original film. They really changed the game and they really added to it. And they give it more story because in the original there was not a whole lot of story. I mean, like going to different circuses and seeing Dumbo perform, like that's pretty much it. And Timothy Q. Mouse, who is the mouse who basically is like the mentor to Dumbo in the original film, he does make an appearance, but it's like he's not really talking, and he's like a white mouse, but he does have the outfit. But he ends up being replaced, like in terms of Dumbo's writer, by Eva Green's character, and she is this French woman, much like the actress herself, who's also French. And she's basically the one who rides him, and it's incredible. They really, I guess they wanted to make things different with the remake, and they did a good job with it, really, honestly. It's incredible what they did. One of the things they also changed in this remake was the birth of Dumbo. So in the original film, the storks are the ones who deliver the babies. And it's like, that's the way it is. Like, no one knows how they do it, like, where they come from. But in this version, they correct that by just having it naturally happen. Mrs. Jumbo just gives birth, and that's how it happens. It makes more sense that way. Because the original film is like storks delivering babies. Like, that totally happens. I mean, it is Disney, so, like, Disney wanted to do that because he thought it would be, it would more cartoony and not realistic, not, it wouldn't be something that would happen in the real world, because that doesn't happen. That's why Walt had such a big imagination for that kind of stuff. So, but even though there are no storks who actually deliver the babies, storks who actually appear in the film. A little bit in the beginning, and then also toward the end, there are storks. So at least they acknowledge that there are storks, they just don't deliver babies, which is like, it's absurd they would do that, but like, was a movie from 1941, so you gotta give it credit for that. And also, in the original film, Dumbo gets his name by basically being teased by the older elephants that he's dumb. That's why he goes from Jumbo Jr. to just Dumbo. But in this version, they make it a little more interesting by, he takes a woman's hat and wig off because she's mostly bald, and he was breaking out of his crib, which then makes the sign that originally says "Dear Baby Jumbo" fall, messed up so that the D falls onto the J that used to be there, so that it reads Dumbo. That's how he gets his name. It's a very different way of doing it, but like it's interesting because the original film was just like it was pretty racist, to be honest. A lot of the early films were a little bit racist, actually, especially at the end with with the ravens. Like, oh my god, very a little bit racist. Yeah, I mean a little bit. So especially in the beginning, like, oh my god, racist, very much. Yeah, that was the early 40s. And the one song that is honestly the most beautiful song in the original film, there's a song that is played while Mrs. Jumbo is cradling Dumbo. But it's so cute and it's so adorable, and it makes me want to cry because it's so amazing. But in this one, they do it a bit differently, actually. So in this one, after the chaos that happens, after Mrs. Jumbo is locked up for being mad, Dumbo does like go up to her and get attention. And Mrs. Lantis is this overweight woman. Her act is that she's supposed to be a mermaid, and so she sings the same song that was put in the original film. It's a great way to have a version of that song in the remake in a very special way. Like, not the exact same way because it's a modern audience, but like it's so special. Like, I love that. That's amazing. Also, the actress who plays Miss Atlantis is actually Scottish, which is very interesting because she does an incredible American accent. So there you go. And one thing about the original film that they changed and made it better was Dumbo flying a lot earlier and actually flying a lot more, because in the original film, Dumbo flies, but it's literally at like the very end of the film for like 5 minutes, quite literally 5 minutes. I think they calculated it was like literally 5 minutes of Dumbo flying, and that was it. Because I guess the story didn't call for that in the original film. They just like, Dumbo's a flying elephant, but he only flies for like 5 minutes. They fixed it. In this version for the remake, they made it so that Dumbo not only flies earlier, but also like is taught how to fly. And of course, yes, he needs the feather, but later on realizes that he doesn't need the feather. But he flies a lot more. Like, his whole act is flying, and it's incredible. Like, they made him a lot more fun, because the original was just like, come on, fly already. And he finally flies, but it's like 5 minutes. Like, come on. I think Walt didn't know what he was doing. Like, this is the character Dumbo. He's supposed to fly. Let's have him fly for 5 minutes, and then it's like, okay, we're remaking it. Let's make it better. Let's make him actually fly more than 5 minutes. Like, seriously. So, I like that change. That was a good change. And as I mentioned earlier, I said I was going to talk about the pink elephant scene. So, in this version, it's a lot better. Like, I know in the original version, it was just nightmare fuel. It was horrible. I could not get through it because it was just traumatizing. It was terrifying and ugh. And oh my god, they did a much better job with the pink elephant scene in this version. So in this version for the remake, they made the pink elephant scene a lot less scary and a lot less messed up. So they basically made it a bubble show, a giant bubble show with pink lighting. It's incredible what they're able to do. And they also made the original song like the like that. Obviously, Danny Elfman composed it, but like it's so much better, and it's very catchy, it's very cool, but like they are there, but it's not as creepy. I think there's even a camel in there, but like it's not nearly as horrible, and it's actually quite fun actually. And Dumbo's kind of dancing along to it, but like it's so much better. It's just like a bubble show, and it's nice actually. I like it a lot. So that I'm really glad they fixed that. Like, they made it less traumatizing for kids because it's a remake. After 78 years, they fixed it. So yeah, I'm very happy about that, and it's something I really was very impressed by. They really nailed it. Now, for the third act of the film, it was very different because I think for the third act of the original film, it was basically just, Dumbo flying, getting ready to fly, learning how he could actually fly. But in the remake, they had it where they were basically doing the act, but at the same time setting Mrs. Jumbo free, and also at the same time getting Dumbo free. So that was like the entire thing was the circus troupe in the beginning of the film. Their job was to do that, and also because they had been like kicked out. That was basically the idea. So they had it was their goal to free Dumbo and get him back to the wild, which is incredible because that was something that I never thought they could do. Is really expand upon that story and give Dumbo a home, like a new home, which is not what they did in the original film. Like, just they didn't even really give a good it's an ending, which is like, yeah, whatever. That was really interesting way of having the final act done. Very good. So Holt, the father of the kids who are in charge of training Dumbo, obviously he lost his arm in the war, and so he's given a cloth bag, like a sandbag arm, whatever you call it, which it's more like a makeshift arm. And then later at the very end of the film, he gets an actual one that's like a robotic arm, which is very cool. It's like, the future of today is robotics, which is very cool because it's like 1919, so it's like they haven't even really gotten the technology yet. So that was a really cool little way of closing his arc. Like, yeah, he finally gets redemption by getting getting something to replace his arm when he lost in the war, so he gets something back. So like that's really nice. I like the fact that they did that. And as I've mentioned before, the fact that Dumbo needs his feather, like in the original film, he needs his feather. He can't fly without his feather. But then Millie, the girl, like gives him enough confidence that he doesn't need to fly with the feather. So I think it was like pushing his confidence and getting to like understanding he really does not need a feather. Like it's helpful, but he doesn't need it. So I like the fact that he actually realizes he can actually do it without the feather. Like really, giving him confidence, which is like in an amazing way of giving Dumbo more personality and being more brave. Like he can do it without the feather. He doesn't need the feather, and he can do it because he has ears, magic ears. So that was great. Now, if it wasn't obvious, Mr. Vanderveer, the creator of Dreamland, he's played by Michael Keaton, as I mentioned earlier. It's pretty clear that he has a wig on. I don't know why it's a wig, but it's pretty clear he does, because when Dreamland essentially gets blown up, like it falls apart and fire and everything like that, part of his wig starts to come off. You can tell it's a wig. Yeah, so yeah. He doesn't actually have hair, or he has very little hair. So, it was pretty obvious, but like, yeah. And I like the fact that at the beginning of this film, the circus troupe is known as the Medici Brothers, but then it turns into the Medici Family Circus, which is incredible. Like, that's a really nice way of really evolving the circus. Like, it goes from, very small time circus to like a bigger circus, like where everything is amazing and everything like that. It's just like it's a lot more to see. Which is also why we have Millie inventing a room where she can show motion pictures for the first time. Although it's kind of historically inaccurate because motion pictures were actually invented in like the early 1900s. So like that's when the first films were like invented. I think the first like actual motion picture, actual movie picture was like the late 1800s. Like 1890s, that kind of thing. But the actual first actual film was like the early 1900s. So like it's a bit of an inaccuracy because now when motion pictures were a thing. So like I feel like that's kind of a continuity error because history. Yeah, I realized that like that's yeah. Movies were a thing, for sure. And I love how the film ended. It was incredible. I mentioned it earlier in this review, but I just love the ending. With Dumbo and Mrs. Jumbo being freed into the jungle with other elephants. That was incredible. Like, it was such a beautiful way of really sending them off and really fixing the original film's ending. Because the original film did not end amazingly. With this one, they really made it different. They really made it unique. And that's why Disney live-action remakes are actually really fun because they really change the story and really make it better. Not all the time, but for this one, they really evolved the story, which is fantastic. That's why I love the ending so much. It was just like incredible, like seeing them free. It's just like, wow, it's just amazing. And seeing Dumbo just like being free because he doesn't need a feather to fly is incredible. It really makes him magical. And my favorite line of this film is when Max is trying to get his monkey back into his desk when he's meeting with Mr. Vanity for the first time, and Mr. Vanity is looking at him and is like, "Is that a monkey in your desk?" And it's like, just for emergencies. That was just like the best line. It's so funny. And then it gets even funnier when Max first comes to Dreamland and goes to his office, and he asks Mr. Vanity, like, what exactly do I do? And Mr. Vanity is like, ugh, and just walks out. He's just like, apparently he does not know what he's supposed to do. But he was just like, the weirdest noise that Michael Keaton could ever make. It was fantastic. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the movie as a whole. I do have quite a few Easter eggs that I found during the viewings of this movie, and they are, in the beginning of the film, Casey Jr. has a number 41 at the very front of the train, and that's actually a reference to the original film's released in 1941. I mean, it's pretty obvious. There's no other reason why it would be there, other than to visually represent that the original film came out in 1941. It's a great way of doing that. And Dumbo's hat actually is featured in this movie, not on Dumbo because Dumbo doesn't actually wear the hat for some reason. But his whole outfit is completely different. It's like actually like a headpiece he wears. And so there's a circus performer who's practicing on this ball, and he's wearing a hat, a very kind of dark gold hat, almost brown, I guess. And it looks very similar to Dumbo's original hat from the original film. And I'm pretty sure it's the same style of hat. That's a really nice Easter egg. And then the next Easter egg was kind of subtle, but it was like, it was kind of cool. It was like nearly 11 minutes into the film, Max Medici sings like a little bit of the Casey Jr. song, like a few of the lyrics. It's just like, it's fantastic. It's like, I love that he did this. That was great. And one of the more obvious Easter eggs was when Dumbo successfully performs his act for the circus, based off of that original scene in the original film, where he's like getting the fire out with the fireman. and he's getting his bath, and then this clown comes over. He's like, "Champagne for Dumbo," which is obviously a reference to the time when Dumbo actually consumed by accident champagne, which caused him to hallucinate the pink elephants. And actually, he's actually in a tub that looks pretty similar to the original tub that he actually drank from. So it's like really great. The fact they did that was fantastic. And the very last Easter egg that I found was actually kind of interesting. Was the song from the original film was actually referenced as lyrics from the announcer's intro during Dumbo's very first act at the new circus in Dreamland. So it's a great way of doing that. It's not the song, but it's like a few of the lyrics. It's fantastic. I really like that. So that's pretty much all I can say about the live action Dumbo. It's an amazing film. I really, really enjoyed it. The only thing that I kind of was a little bit iffy on was the actress who played Millie, the daughter. Like, I've seen Brian Hall's review on this movie, and he said that the actress, like, she didn't really have the best acting. Like her acting was kind of like, quote, wooden, which means like not really getting a lot of emotion and expression, just kind of like that, like staring straight ahead as if she's reading off the script. It's like it was basically that weird and that like uncomfortable to watch kind of thing. I mean, she didn't have horrible acting. It just like it didn't feel like she had the best acting experience. Like maybe she could have taken more acting classes because her acting wasn't amazing. Like it wasn't bad. It just wasn't great. Like all the other actors, just like it could have been better. I really could have seen a lot better. But in terms of the casting, and I'm going to wrap up this episode by real quick listing the amazing cast. Oh my god, the cast. So there was Colin Farrell, who plays the father with a Southern American accent, which is very interesting, I think. And then we had Danny DeVito, incredible actor. Then there was Michael Keaton, who is known for playing Batman. In the original 1989 movie, he also played Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is awesome. Eva Green was in it. She's a French actress who's been in a number of movies, actually. I saw her in Miss Peregrine's Home Biblical Trilogy. She played Miss Peregrine herself. And she's been in quite a few films, actually. She's amazing. So yeah, quite a few actors that were in it that I recognized. I was very surprised by the talent I got. Really incredible acting, honestly. Aside from the actress who plays Millie, incredible acting. So yeah, I really would say this is one of the best Disney live-action remakes they've made, just because of how much they've changed and added the story. It made the story a lot more interesting with what they had. Despite it being directed by Tim Burton, I think Tim Burton did a great job, and Danny Elfman really made the score amazing and beautiful and just like fantastic and magical and everything like that, because you know his scores are so famous. And the CGI for Dumbo was amazing. Like, it's adorable, but also just like it's really good, to be honest. Like, you can really see it, it's there, and it's so lifelike and realistic. And I really think they did a good job with remaking Dumbo. After 78 years, like, they really nailed it, and they really did a good job of really reinventing the original film, because this remake really, really fixed all the problems it had, which is why remakes are really good, actually. So yeah, really, really enjoyed a lot of amazing cinematography. They had more story they could tell with this one. Unlike the original film, there was not a lot of story. Like, there was a story, but it was only enough for like an hour. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say for this episode. I think I'm going to give this movie a 9 out of 10. I'm not giving it a full score just because of the actress who plays Millie's acting is not amazing, but not horrible. Like, really, I think she could have taken a little more acting classes for the role, because she did not. Her performance would definitely felt a little like kind of wooden and like not enough expressions, and just like didn't even really try. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really appreciate it. And if you are new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series. Also, make sure to click that bell to enable alerts so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I'll be back next week